pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, just before we begin tonight's meeting, I have a proclamation I'd like to read to the public. We have a gentleman here in our community of Monroe, Martin Rosemarin, who celebrated his 100th birthday yesterday, and I'd like to read a proclamation from us here at the village. Whereas Martin Rosemarin was born on January 20th of 1925, and whereas in 1941 his family moved to Monroe, New York to open Rosemarin's Cottages, and whereas he served our nation during World War II, earning the rank of corporal in the U.S. Marine Corps, and whereas upon his return stateside he earned a degree in civil engineering at City College of New York, and returned to Monroe to work with his parents at the Rosemarin Cottages. Now therefore be proclaimed that the Village of Monroe, the Village Board of Trustees, on behalf of our residents and community, congratulate Martin Rosemarin in achieving his 100th birthday milestone. I wish him all the best, continued health and happiness. I'd like to ask the board to accept that.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second.
Carl will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Happy birthday, Mr. Rosemarin. Okay, next order of business is a public hearing introducing local law 1 of 2024 to override the tax levy limit established by General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. A public hearing is being held on Tuesday, January 21st of 2025 in the boardroom of the Village of Monroe, 7th Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law entitled to override tax levy limit established by General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. The purpose of this local law is to allow the Village of Monroe to adopt a budget for the fiscal year commencing June 1, 2025 that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the tax levy limit as defined by General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Carl will make the motion.
Second, please.
O'Connor will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Public hearing is over, and anyone wishing upon speak upon this matter is welcome to come up to the mic. Okay, let's show that. How are you? Would you like to come up to speak on this? Would you like to come up to speak on this matter?
Not in this one.
Okay, good, very good. Okay, I'd like to have someone make a motion to close the public hearing. As long as I address the board.
Carl will make the motion.
Ferraro, second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the department report submitted by the department heads. I need a motion to accept them as submitted.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second?
Carl will second for just a quick discussion.
Sure.
On the water report, if you do look at that from last year versus this year in December, our consumption is up 4 million gallons or 111,000 gallons per day. That's metered water.
111K.
111,000, it averages,
Last year.
yep, it averages out to 111,000 gallons per day. So, you know, our metered sales are going up. And, you know, at some point, you know, we have safe yields on the reservoir as well as the well. So, got to start keeping that stuff in mind going forward.
Any further comments?
I'm fine.
So we had a first and a second. Can I call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Good?
Yeah, you're a little low.
Okay. All right, next order of business I need a motion to accept the meeting minutes of January 7th, 2025 as submitted by the clerk.
Carl will make the motion.
Second? Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business is the budget transfers and modifications as submitted by the treasurer. I need a motion to accept them as submitted.
Berenger will second.
Discussion?
Yeah, real quick, this is coming out of fund balanced, unreserved? Is that what I'm saying? $3,000, that's gonna be coming from fund balance?
It looks it, yeah.
I don't get the unreserved, though.
It should be coming from the fund balance of the budget,
Which is
or the contingent.
2025, yeah,
So that would come out of,
Contingency,
that
2025.
will come out of contingency?
yes.
All right, so then, I think we need to correct that.
So, I'm gonna assume that that's correct, yes? Yeah. Okay. So he's right in what he's saying. If you look at the line, it probably is correct. But when he says unreserved, he's referring to the budget. Well, that line, I think, is gonna be somewhere, I don't have the budget in front of me, but, okay.
I think that's a contingency line,
So he's correct, he put down
wordage.
unreserved. So I would just eliminate unreserved and put down contingency, it's 0909. Okay? All right, so thank you. So we have first and second, call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Okay, next order of business is the adoption of local law 1 of 2025 to override the tax levy limit established by General Municipal Law 3C. Whereas the Village Board of the Village of Monroe, New York duly noticed a public hearing held on January 21, 2025, and whereas the Village Board solicited public comment during said public hearing on January 21, 2025, and whereas the purpose of this local law is to authorize the Village Board to override the limit of the amount of real property taxes that may be levied by the village, and to further allow the Village Board to adopt a budget for the fiscal year commencing on June 1, 2025, that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the tax levy limit in accordance with General Municipal Law 3-C. Now therefore be resolved that the above whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference. 2, the local law authorizing a property tax levy in excess of the limit established in General Municipal Law 3-C is attached hereto as Schedule A, B, and hereby adopted as local law number 1 of 2025 of the Village of Monroe on January 21, 2025. 3, the Village Board hereby directs the village clerk to take all steps necessary to process and file said local law. 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately. The legislative intent of this local law is to allow the Village of Monroe to adopt a budget for the fiscal year commencing June 1, 2025, that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the tax levy as defined by General Municipal Law 3-C. Just for the public, this is what we do. This is the matter to do now, so that we are authorized to do that, should we need to do it. But since I've been mayor and this board, we have never gone over the tax limit. So that's our goal every year, to do that. But you need to do it. If you don't do it, then you can't. The second thing is the local law is adopted pursuant to subsection 5 of General Municipal Law, Section 3C, which expressly authorizes the local government's governing body to override the property tax cap for the coming fiscal year by the adoption of local law approved by vote of 60% of said governing body. So that would be 3 out of 5. Number 3, Section 3, tax levy limit override. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Monroe, County of Orange, is hereby authorized to adopt a budget for the fiscal year commencing June 1, 2025, that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the amount otherwise described in General Municipal Law, Section 3-C. And 4, Section 4, severability. If a court determines that any clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of this local law, or the application thereof to any person, firm, or corporation, or circumstances invalid or unconstitutional, the court's order or judgment shall not affect, impair, or invalidate the remainder of this local law, but shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of this local law, or its application to the person, individual, firm, or corporation, or circumstance directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment or order shall be rendered. Section 5, effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. I need a motion to adopt this local law.
Ferraro make the motion.
Second?
Carl is second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. The next order of business is the authorization to sign the 2025 Independence Day with Garden State Fireworks. Trustee Carl?
Yep, resolve the Board of Trustees approve a contract with Garden State Fireworks, Post Office Box 403, Millington, New Jersey, 07946, for furnishing and conducting a firework display on Thursday, July 3rd, rain date Saturday, July 5th, in the amount of $21,000, 50% deposit of $10,500 due at signing of contract, $10,500 due immediately following the display. Is further resolved, Mayor Dwyer is authorized to sign the contract agreement with Garden State Fireworks, and I'll put that in a form of a motion.
Second, please.
Berenger will second.
Discussion?
Yep, this is our third year with Garden State coming up. It's pretty much the same program they do. They'll be doing 24,536 shells, pieces, shots, and effects. So it hasn't changed any.
Good.
It's been really,
Joe.
really good.
Okay, we have first and second. Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the water penalty waiver for town customer 10256. Town water customer account 10256 requests to have the $241.53 penalty waived for her water account due to the belief that she had set up an automatic payment for her water payment. Resolved, the Board of Trustees denies the request of the town water account for the waiver of water penalties totaling $241.53. So I need a motion first to
Carl will make the motion.
second.
O'Connor will second.
Okay, discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. The next order of business is authorization to purchase Kone Inc., a hacker-resistant ADA elevator phone. Resolved, the Board of Trustees authorize Mayor Dwyer to sign the proposal to furnish and install a new hack-free master station, a hacker-resistant ADA telephone, including the labor, materials, tools, and supervision to perform the work from Kone in the amount of $3,402, allocating it from budget line A1620.4530, Village Hall Equipment Maintenance. I need a motion to accept this contract.
I'll make a motion for discussion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Why do we need this? We have an elevator goes one floor at a snail's rate that's probably only used 20 times in 6 months.
Yeah, so the issue is that obviously when you get into a car and it's closed,
Yep.
if you can't get out,
No, the phone, the emergency,
this is.
no, this is hack-free. This is so that people can't listen in and stuff like that. I read the discussion. Did you read the whole thing? No. It's more to keep people from hacking into it and listening to conversations in the elevator and stuff. We have emergency bells and stuff, and we can get people out at any given time. So anyway, I don't understand.
well, when you say listening in, how would you listen in?
Well, that's just it. They hack it. The whole thing is, if you look at it, it says hack resisted. If you read the full display, if you read this here, addressing an ongoing safe operation of vertical transportation, well, that's a threat right there. It's an emergency phone call, but if you read where it says, essentially an unidentified third party can use the elevator emergency phone numbers and our phone passcodes to communicate to passengers in the elevators or listen into their conversations. That's really, it's primarily.
I know the phone doesn't work, that's what I know.
Right, and you have to have it for code.
So, did
Oh,
he
can't we
give-
just fix that phone?
He tried, yeah.
That's $3,400?
If you want.
$3,402 for that?
And that's just,
I put in a walkie-talkie.
yeah.
How come we can't fix it? There's just, it's old.
Nothing, it doesn't, they don't have it.
We're having trouble getting the, the arm at top. That's gotta go to a third party, they can't find it, they're looking for it now. And we still have another piece that we're looking for, which is the fireman's call, the button. That's going off on safety, which is something that we have to get involved with the alarm. I guess, I don't know, but 100%, but there's a detector right there. and if that gets dust in it, and I don't know if there was recently, but if there was, and it clogged it, they took the system and put that head on safety, which won't allow the car to travel. So that's what we just got determined today, right? Okay. So, for our purposes, if you want to get that clarified and then send it
Well,
back to the board.
If the phone that's in there can't be fixed, that's one thing, but we shouldn't buy this just because it's quote-unquote hack resistant.
Yeah, the hack I can't speak to.
Silly.
It may be, you know, like you buy something and it's got 15 features, but the one you need comes with it.
Okay.
I don't know, so if you want to just get back.
Contingent upon there being cheaper things?
Well, I don't know about cheaper. Nothing's cheap here.
Well, when somebody picks the phone up, where does it go to? Right to the police station?
Nowhere, no.
Nowhere.
It goes nowhere?
Okay.
But
Where did it used to?
where's this
go?
phone? Where would this go? Would this have its own dial tone, its own phone number, or?
It's supposed to, yes. And
Goes to the company.
goes to the company, okay.
So is there a service charge for that?
I don't believe there is because it's part of our service.
The annual contract. All right, so you have
Our
a couple of
alarm
questions,
service.
Kim? Let's get let's get the answers to those questions first. Just table this for now, okay? Okay, next order of business is from the Water Department, inventory surplus of the water meter, which is the actual frame of it. Trustee Carl?
Yeah, resolve the Board of Trustees declares the following Water Department non-working water meters surplus and of no value and authorize it to be removed from the inventory. Now, there's about 80 serial numbers here. I would just like to say that with what's on record with the village clerk, and put that in the form of a motion to surplus them and scrap them.
Berenger will say, oh, sorry.
Just for point of reference, it's a total of 69?
Well, there's 17 is 34. Yeah, you're in the high 60s.
Yeah, so I would just say, with surplus thing, you said 69, all right?
Yep,
Okay, so, put that in form of motion?
I did.
Yep.
Okay, second, please.
I second. O'Connor second.
Okay, any discussion? Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carly.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business is the authorization to advertise for two full-time labor positions. Resolved, the village clerk is hereby authorized to advertise for two full-time laborers positions for the Village of Monroe Public Works Department. Candidates must possess a valid driver's license. The Orange County application for employment can be found on the village's website or in the village clerk's office. Help wanted is the actual advertisement. Village of Monroe Highway Department, full-time laborer. The Village of Monroe is seeking to fill the position of full-time laborer working with the Public Works Department. All candidates must possess a valid driver's license and be capable of performing varied types of manual and unskilled laboring work. A CDL is a plus. The Orange County application for employment can be downloaded from the village's website at www.villageofmonroe.org or picked up in the village clerk's office, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York. Candidates will be subject to an appropriate background check. Send application, resume, and cover letter to the attention of the village clerk, Village of Monroe, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, 10950. I need someone to make a motion to put this out to advertise.
Berenger will make the motion.
Ferraro, second.
Discussion?
When are we looking to get these applications in and get people hired?
I would say within 30 days. Between going out and getting back and do the diligence, yeah.
Now, we're doing two for the DPW and then doing a lateral shift of one to the water department?
You good?
Yeah.
No, okay, good. All right, so we had a first and second, no further discussion, call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carly.
O'Connor, aye.
All right, so carried, thank you. Okay, next order of business is the authorization for DPW to purchase a 2024 F-350 from Schultz Ford Lincoln. Resolve the Board of Trustees authorize the Village of Monroe Department of Public Works to publish a 2024 F-350 replacing truck number 6, the 2011 Ford F-350 from Schultz Ford Lincoln, 80 Route 304, Nanuet, New York, 10954, off the state bid, New York State OGS contract, PC 69148, in the amount of $56,500 to be allocated from budget line A 5110.2400, street maintenance highway equipment. I need a motion to authorize the purchase of that truck.
O'Connor will make the motion.
Second,
Carl, a second.
discussion?
Is that truck in stock? That's a 24, it's a leftover?
I'm guessing. I think that's why the pricing is so aggressive.
All right, that's a gas or diesel?
Yes,
Good price.
it's a good price.
Good price.
Okay, so we have first and second. Any further discussion? Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay, next order of business. I thought we'd have a little bit of a discussion on Crane Park. And this is prompted by the interest, we have a history of the use of the pond in the wintertime for ice skating. So we've gone through a bunch of years where there was skating out there, and then there was a bunch of years after an event, to my knowledge, where a flag was employed. So green flag meant you can go on it, red flag, you cannot, or should not. To that end, in speaking with the insurance department or the insurance agent that we have for our policies, it was felt that, or at least I think back in the day, it was felt that people should be noticed that they're skating at their own risk. Evidently back, I guess, somewhere in the 90s.
93.
93.
93.
A couple of kids fell through the ice and they were rescued, and they had some hypothermia or something like that. And that prompted a conversation where people felt that that should create the flag, I guess, right?
Yes.
And then since then, they've come up to this new idea where there's a new thought that, we can't take the responsibility because we don't know the condition of the entire pond.
Yeah, it's difficult to, you can't test the entire pond.
Right.
That's the problem.
So, talking with insurance and then speaking with trustee Ferraro, I thought it was a good idea to have a conversation just to hear what the board's thoughts are on it.
Well, I always loved ice skating on the pond. I did it as a little kid. I remember races, and it was a lot of fun. Do we have a sign that says
Yes.
skate at your own risk? That's what
Yeah,
I
there's
thought.
on
Okay.
both ponds.
And I know everybody's looking to ice skate, and it's been nice and cold for it. My question right now, will the dredging impact it? Like say tomorrow, if would the green flag go out? Okay, so it
No,
would.
there's no flag.
No, I know there's no
Yeah.
flag right now.
There is some of that suction pipe that it does protrude through the ice.
Right where everybody steps on the north pond, right by where the flagpole is,
Yeah.
it's underwater at that point. So you can easily step onto the ice without doing any damage to the pipe. So it is safe.
So I'm all for it. I think it's
Just putting
something,
the signs up and letting them do their thing.
yeah. I kind of feel like that's what it always was.
Well, if you look at the history, and I think that we researched it, and it goes
Yeah.
back to the 50s, 60s, and it seems like they were going back and forth with what they required.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Mayor Bonney, I think,
In 93.
Yeah.
okay, that actually said, we can't have this,
Well,
Well, Paul Truex from the Parks is the one that always came over and with the
Tested it.
auger. and
yeah, I
tested it.
remember you having them test it with the drills.
Well, last year I tested the ice, but I didn't test the entire north pond. I would go out about 20, 25 feet.
I mean, unless are we picking a spot? Like I grew up, I could ice skate on that whole Rye Hill Road where there's no water now. I mean, that you did it all the time. Is there a set area that we want to say this is where you can skate, or it's skate wherever you want?
Well, not really, because I know the people who like to play hockey like the south pond because it's narrower and they don't have to chase the puck as far.
Right.
So that's that section. Then you have the north section where some like to skate to the island, other ones like to skate further up.
Right.
It would be the entire pond. It'd be very difficult to limit it. If you limited it, you would have to somehow plant barriers. such
I was
as-
just thinking of like when people swim publicly and you put, like a rope.
Yeah.
I would hope nobody's going near the waterfall. You would think.
No,
they would know to-
nobody would go that far.
Yeah.
That ice is way too thin. I just wanted to read something that came out of the 1993 minutes of the board at the time. If individuals take it upon themselves to make use of the paved area or land for kite flying, jogging, walking, picnicking, and so on, or to make use of the ice surface for skating, sledding, or any winter activities, this action is on the part of the citizen and is done without village knowledge. Individuals using the facility do not do so at their own risk, and by so doing so, agree to hold the village harmless for any accidents or injuries that occur. This is something that they wanted done back then, but from research, it was never fully implemented legally. And that's something I would like to implement so that people at their own time can just go skate anytime and not look for a green flag. Because the green flag would give them, really, it wouldn't guarantee that the ice isn't thin at some other point.
Right.
What do you mean not fully implemented legally? What wasn't done?
Well, again, when I tested the ice last year, and I go by 4 inches is what Minnesota, I think, uses. I measured with a drill bit marked at 4 inches, and if I didn't see water, we were at least 4 inches thick. And I went out about 20 feet from the shoreline. But that's pretty much all I did. I didn't go to the center of the ice. I didn't go towards the island, and I didn't even touch the South Pond. So anybody could have gone closer to where the water comes in off of Lake Street and fallen through the ice. So it's very, very hard to do the entire pond. But again, for as long as Monroe's been here, they've been skating.
Yeah.
I know my son played hockey on that ice all the time, and right now that ice has to be a foot thick. So anyway, it's only for discussion, but that's.
I mean, I noticed that it was cleared away over at Pine Tree, and I'm assuming the Pine Tree Lake, I know they have an HOA, but I'm assuming I don't know, would they have skate at your own risk also? It was cleared away for hockey.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's always at your own risk. Anyway, that's a thought for discussion, we need some legal advice to make sure that she's comfortable with it, our attorney. But anyway, that's that.
Well, I guess what you can probably add to that is ice fishing on there, because people do, they do fish off the shore around those ponds, so if somebody goes out there and drills a hole and sets a tip up in it, is that permissible or not permissible?
It would be permissible. Anything, you could do whatever you'd like to do.
I think it's actually in that local.
It's
law.
in there, and
Or
ice
ice
fishing,
fishing?
yeah, or kayaking was something I would add to it.
It said fishing, I didn't hear ice
It
fishing.
said fishing, yeah.
So if we have the signage,
But during the ice part,
Yeah, there's this part where it says ice fishing.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
and I think they're doing it on one of the lakes. Somebody saw them ice fishing out
yeah, I
the
think
center of the ice.
Round Lake,
Round Lake.
I think it was Round Lake.
Yeah. So anyway, I think people should just be allowed to go ahead and use the pond as they like.
Okay, so the way it's said is, or to make use of the ice surface for skating, sledding, or any winter activity.
Ice fishing would be a winter activity. Yeah.
And this was the 65,
That was 93.
93.
Yeah.
And that's what really, that's what we still have, we're observing today.
Yes, exactly. So,
So it kind of stays in force the way it is.
Yes.
and what's important is that we get that out to the people. That's what I wanted to do, so people aren't looking for that green flag. They're just stepping out onto the ice on their own.
Okay.
Or the red flag.
One other thing to do with Crane Park, it's got nothing to do with the ice, and after the chief had given us that information on the e-bikes and the e-scooters and all of that, you see them quite often on that pathway around those ponds, and I don't know if that's a good idea, because those things, they move right along, and they
On the path.
on the paved
They're not
path,
supposed
yeah.
to be,
Right,
according
they're not
to
supposed to
what
be
we
on.
saw, what the chief wrote. It's only in the road,
Well,
and
where,
it can't
but they're-
exceed 20 miles an hour, so low-speed vehicle.
They're on that pavement. I've seen them parallel with 17M coming up past the 9/11 Memorial. I've seen them over on the backside of Mill Pond by the North Ponds. They're out there.
But they're allowed on the road?
They're allowed on the
They're
road.
allowed on the road, but And again, and they're on the sidewalks here in town. I think I shared that with you guys the other night. We came out of a restaurant in town.
Well, that's at their own
So-
risk.
So the chief obviously responded to that. I spoke
Yes, he
to
did,
him.
yeah.
Yes, he
He's
brought that up,
enforcing that if he sees
but
They are confiscating anything over 20 miles an hour, they're
But I
confiscating.
mean, the walkway around Crane Park, around that we should really make, it
Signage?
should be posted, you know, no e-bikes, although the initial path that runs parallel with 17M was put in around 1980, 81, somewhere in there, with a federal grant. It was part of the bike lane that was
path,
put in through Monroe. You'll still see some signs around along 17M.
Like that.
For the bike path, and when it got up by the traffic light, they made the cut through the park, because it was still within the state right of way.
Right.
And then the village eventually went and just looped everything in, and everybody's using it for walking, but along 17M is technically the bike path.
Right, I think people are using it as their way of getting to and from work and things, so what do we do? Put signage up and
No motorized vehicle.
somebody,
Maybe just no motorized
I mean, does
vehicle.
that go for, are those, what about those scooters that are?
Well, those
That's
scooters-
different, right? Does the bike and the, I see the scooters going in the morning.
They go
On
fast.
17, on Still Road.
So we can create new signage that would include that and any other prohibition.
They're motorized,
Just
whether it's an
motorized.
electric battery or what, they're still motorized, and it's, you got
Motorized vehicles on the bike path.
a lot of women with baby carriages and stuff, and walking with kids, and the last thing we need is somebody getting run over.
Okay, if nothing further, we'll move along. Next issue is, these were discussions or items related to the utility bodies that I had proposed, but I just got that out by the clerk today. So I was gonna have Aldo here, but I said, listen, why don't we just wait? But just to give a little information, people got paperwork, so if anybody has anything for me now, you could always do your diligence with Aldo or maintenance department, but anybody have a question?
Well, I got a lot of questions.
Okay.
To take the truck that's a 2015, put a utility body on it. Now, that was the initial truck that the DPW supervisor drove, okay? So that truck was out in the salt all the time.
Right,
You said the body was pretty rough shape from accidents
Yeah.
and whatnot.
right.
I got a little bit of experience with this kind of stuff. My concern is you take that pickup body off the back of that truck, and without looking at the suspension and possibly having to put new leaf springs in it to beef the back of the truck up, because the utility body is quite a bit heavier than a pickup truck body. None of that is in here, and I've been I've been the liaison since 2020 to the water department, and to see just this today, I'm disappointed. Why I wasn't even involved in this, because again, you're probably going to have to change the leaf springs out. You're probably going to have to do stuff with the suspension. And does it really pay to put a utility body on a truck that's 10 years old? A highway truck? I would probably say not. That's me. As far as the other truck, the 2017, that's got the long bed on it. So, is that the long bed or short?
Children.
All right, okay, I stand corrected. Again, without looking at that truck underneath to see exactly what's going on there, I think we need to do a little more homework before we bring this back. But if we're going to spend our money, let's spend it wisely.
Well, yeah,
I just can't see a 10-year-old highway truck. Because as soon as they take that body off, you're going to have all sorts of stuff underneath that's going to have to get changed out. And I really think I think you're taking good money and throwing it out the window.
Yeah.
So what's your suggestion, like,
I want to look at everything. I want to see how we came to this and go look at those trucks. And, you know, I'm reading the body. I mean, I bought bodies off of Green up in Rock Hill. I used to do this kind of stuff. But I want to see how we got to this and why we're taking old trucks and putting new utility bodies on them.
So,
You know, if that truck was 5 years old, all right, but that one truck has been out in the salt. It's been, regardless whether they maintained and washed, which they are, you know, you just still get you get a lot of rust, and I don't know what the frame rails look like. And again, I go back to the suspension. You're probably going to have to beef that suspension up when you put that utility body, because if you don't, your headlights are going to be shining up in the trees and the truck is going to be squatting in the back end. And then you're going to have to go back and do something, whether it's leaf springs or the load boosters or whatnot. But I really want to take a good hard look at all of this before we make any decisions.
makes sense. Okay. That's all I got. Anyone that's public comment? Anyone from the public?
I just got a couple things real quick.
I'm just gonna take anybody from the public?
Oh,
Hey, Ray.
Good evening. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy Holiday. It was a beautiful season until the last couple of days when it started getting very cold. But hey, it's the winter. So, Avraham Floor, resident of the village of Monroe. And I'm coming up here for the board first to thank you for the things that you're doing. It's a beautiful village. It's clean, it's nice, it's safe. What else can we expect? There's only one thing, and I mentioned it, I think, a year ago, and it's in reference to the court dates, especially now in the winter. I mean, I'm right here, so I'm on this road a lot, and it's cold, it's raining, very, very cold, and when it comes to the dates of the courts, we see people standing out here for hours in front of the court. No chairs, pregnant woman, elderly, and it's for a vehicle in traffic. And I was here, I took pictures, I got recordings just if anyone wants to see. Last week, it was less than 25 degrees out there. And people were standing here for 2 hours. And I think it's inhumane. It's something that it shouldn't be at all. I mean, the courts now, everybody has open doors. Why shouldn't they be allowed to come in? And if they can't, maybe we should do something about it. It's something that really should be taken in consideration, because it's not safe, and I think, in my opinion, it's something that is not right.
Agreed. So to that end, two things. Number one, they're looking at right now adding a calendar to the calendar currently. So what that does is it doesn't compress it into that Wednesday, because there's traffic twice a month and there's criminal twice a month. So they're looking to add calendars. So, and maybe a possible day calendar. So that'll take some of the pressure off the evening, number one. Number two, I did ask them to tell me about the situation in here as far as the number of occupants. This room is rated for 41. So if you take out what's going on here with interpreters and the judge and the court staff, there may be possibly 35 that could fit in the gallery, right? So I want to make sure that that's happening. So we have a meeting coming up 23rd. I think it's Thursday, actually. Today's the 21st, right?
Yes.
So Thursday, there's a meeting on this very subject. And I agree with you. As a matter of fact, one of the things I thought about in this alleyway right here, this doesn't necessarily have to be open on a court evening or any evening, really. What we could do is close it off here, and people could circle around and stay off this, just go out, egress out that way. And maybe we could set something up here where we could put up a tent, even in the alleyway, where people could sit in that tent if they're in the queue. From what I'm told by the court officers, they're offered the opportunity to give their phone number in, go back to their vehicle, whether it's rain, heavy rain, or whether it's the cold weather. For the same reasons, I 100% agree.
Yeah, but like I said, all this is good for discussion, for meetings. The concern is, it's winter right now. We go outside right now, it's probably 10 degrees, and it's a Wednesday. It happens to be that it's a public hearing, and nobody's there, but if it's a court date today,
Yeah.
10 people, it's 10 degrees, and we would have had people outside. Now, with all the numbers and that, I mean, unfortunately, we know that a lot of people that's standing out here, the communication is hard, okay? A lot of them don't speak fluent English. They don't understand exactly what they were told about the phone number. They're scared. They think that the traffic violation is gonna get them out of the country or something. So by all this, they're not gonna go back to the car because they're scared they're gonna miss the court date and then something else is gonna happen. So we're talking about this winter. It's January 21st. We're coming to February. It might be getting colder, and there is court dates scheduled. So we got to see something, if possible. What are we going to do with the next court date
Sure.
for people standing out there? Are they going to stand out here in the cold? Are they going to stand out in the rain? Or something's going to be done immediately?
So, I mean, that tent could go up tomorrow. Something can go up tomorrow. And,
These days, everything is possible instantly. You know that.
I mean, I could make that happen, you know.
And put some heat in there at least. So that is.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's maybe, because I know on the paper it will say, report at this time. And I'm wondering if maybe the time should be staggered a little more, because let's say it says 5 o'clock. Does it say 5 o'clock on everybody's? I know I've been here,
I think
and
it says, I think to your point.
I was here
it
last
does
week
say-
for court, standing out in the cold.
No,
It was cold.
No argument.
And I had a discussion with the judge too. We spoke about we spoke. I mean, and not we spoke about it about this whole thing, because I'm getting pressure from the community too about this, and people are not very happy about this. And he said that it's like you said, there's different court date, there are different hours in the court. But again, you come to court, you want to be there, you want to make sure that you're not missing, because you don't want your license suspended. It's not a party that you're attending that you come 10 minutes late, you're not showing up, oh, I'm going to be there later, I'm going to come. It's a court, and everybody respects the court. We want to respect the court. And somebody has to show up, they want to be there and make sure that they do their duties and they're here to answer or whatever it is. So it's something that from the village side, at least, we're giving you the best opportunity to show you that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You're welcome here, you have a good place to stay, and then whatever happens, happens. I appreciate that. Thank you. And again, happy holidays, and it's a beautiful 2025 in a lot of ways. We appreciate it.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything further?
I just got a couple real quick things.
Yeah.
What's going on with 99 Spring Street? Have we heard anything with
So
that?
they're in court still. We have a judgment against them, which has got to be in excess now of 30 grand that they owe us.
Right.
They're going to the courts. Lizzie Langer was the owner of record. He had put it in escrow with a new owner, a Hasidic developer. And that gentleman, I think, is dealing with some kind of court matter through them. But I understand it does not have clear title, that I understand.
Who doesn't have clear title?
Anybody, like the,
Who's paying the taxes on it?
I don't really know. So
Is there
I've
still
been
a
watching
fence,
the
is there
process.
still a fence around it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it
haven't,
just
It's
does.
secured, it just looks terrible.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
doesn't look very.
And I suspect that
appeasing.
if the fellow who actually bought it, he was very aggressive in taking down the really bad section there. I think he has an idea of how to repurpose it, but I wouldn't blame him. He's not gonna put a nickel into it unless he has clear title to it.
Why do they owe so much money? That's a lot of money.
Well, they had a lot of violations that were outstanding, and we hold them into court, and
It's a $75,000 judgment, wasn't it?
I think initially maybe, or 90-something, and then it compounds per day while the violation, so it's pretty extensive. So we'll see, but I will look into it. If we could tomorrow just reach out to Liz Cassidy and ask for an update, and then just share it with the board where that is. Okay.
I know it was about 2 months ago, I believe, somebody from the senior housing came in about the parking situation. I haven't heard anything since then. Has there been
No.
any issue or anything resolved with them?
The only thing I can
Monroe
know,
Commons I'm talking
yeah, I
about.
know exactly what you're talking about. So that property was first approved to be 34 spaces because quote unquote, old people don't drive. So I can't speak for the planning board at the time, or how it happened, or why it happened, but that's the reasoning behind it. You could see it in the minutes.
Or like in the city.
And that's no longer applicable. So,
35 units on a half-acre parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how many units are in there?
35.
35.
But I think there's only, what
How
is
many
it,
parking spots?
17 or, I forget exactly, but it's half of what they could use.
Yeah,
So they started parking on village property, but that made it very difficult for Aldo to do his job.
right.
So we told them they can't do that, and now I think they're parking on town property, which we're trying to negotiate and purchase so that we can clean that whole alleyway up. And that's where I think they're going right now. But I have spoken to, and I have a meeting with the prior owner of the property, who owned that Monroe Commons for many, many years. And he just reached out, he wanted to do something tomorrow. I said, I'm not able to do anything tomorrow, but next week, let's set it up. And there's some memorialization. That was a pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes. And they're getting to a point now where that's going to sunset. And there's things that you have to do in that process so that the rent, which makes it affordable, those units, that has to be maintained. If it's not maintained, they go back to market rate, and the folks that are living there will probably prohibit them. So I have that meeting scheduled. I plan to bring that up. And also, we had a heat issue there last week that became, what day was that? Friday? Yeah, Friday, it became a big heat issue. I sent the code enforcement out there, and they dug in real hard on it, and they were able to get the management out there, Kim, right? And they got the heat on, and it was one of these circumstances where, because of this difficult situation, we learned a lot, including our points of contact were old, outdated. We also learned that the folks that are there are not versed in it, and they're going to be now. So we're setting up with the code enforcement and the clerk to be able to create a very, very comprehensive list of things. You run into this, do this, because somebody should have called us immediately. I guess the problem goes back to late October. And it's fluctuating, and nobody knew until I think the daughter of the owner reached out to me or to anybody on Facebook, I think, or something.
So we want to make like a sheet that they can all have, maybe, like, I'll laminate it, like in each house or something, to
Exactly.
call this
And-
person for this?
Yes, and actually, one of the things that our code enforcement, Ron, had said, he says, anybody on oxygen that lives there? And if they were, he says the fire department should be notified that this department has oxygen in the
Yeah,
house.
usually have a sticker on your door too, right?
So there's a bunch of things, he's found a bunch of inefficiencies, and I think he'd like to go through the whole place with a fine tooth comb now, and do a rental inspection and see where deficiencies may lie, and to find out, from what I understand, their rights, and I think they should be posted with those rights as well. So code enforcement's working on that now. As far as the parking spaces go, I'm hoping that there's an opportunity with the fella that owns next door to give us a piece of that property. If not that piece of property, then maybe
How
we,
about 43 North Main, Charlie Lang's old place?
yes, maybe we can get a piece of that and create more parking for that purpose.
I think you'd need a
Which
spot.
really take the pressure off all that area, not only Monroe Commons, but one North Main, is it? Gary's old place?
Yes, 1 North Main.
So that would need some help. So there's a bunch there. I mean, these places that maybe had 3 or 4 cars in a driveway in a single-family home is not that case anymore.
Right.
So I'm hoping we can do that. And the fellow that I'm meeting wants to talk to me. I reached out to him. We were actually at a social function, and I asked him for some time. He actually does that Monroe Commons product all over the country. And one of the things I asked for is, I've got a couple of parcels in the village that I think would really kind of get into this, including first responder space. So we have a first responder that's here in the village, and he's a volunteer, either in the fire department or in the EMT. If we can find the opportunity to find market rate housing, but at a significantly reduced cost, so that it keeps that young member, an active member, in the house, and gives him a place to live as he sees fit, because it's very, very unaffordable to live here, quite frankly. So there's a few moving pieces, and that will, you know, hopefully change in within the next week. I think by next meeting, I should be able to report back to the board what I think we can do, whether it's the property on North Main, whether it's the property on Still Road. There are a couple of parcels where I think we could take advantage and create some really good housing and good opportunity for seniors and first responders. That's the goal.
Can we also talk sidewalks and shoveling? I know people have reached out about that. Correct me if I'm wrong, if after the snow stops, you have 24 hours to clear your sidewalks. I know my kids were out there yesterday because kids are walking to the bus stop. And I just want to remind people that that's what we have to do. And, there's kids walking to school, walking to the bus stop. It's cold, it's icy. We don't want people walking in the street.
So, to your point, we do enforce that. I think last year, or the year before, maybe, we violated, I don't know how many, but it was over 18 grand in snow shoveling. That we did and then billed out to the residents' taxes.
Have we started with this storm?
We haven't gotten any complaints. I had one
That's what, yeah.
There's a lot.
this afternoon asked me if I could please just call the resident, and I did, and the resident said they would take care of it. Now, if they don't, that's another issue, but.
There's quite a few in Wingate Woods.
So we're gonna have the DPW.
We do need proof.
Like a picture?
We need
Yeah, the way it
pictures.
works is we send one of our guys out on their, supposed to be a village camera, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And they memorialize it with the date.
Right.
And then we send a notice to the homeowner, and they have until noon of that day.
Yeah, a lot of times we try and contact them, and it's been very, we get a lot of positive feedback when we call.
Yeah. So that's what you want to try to do, but if they're not gonna clear it, or they're not responding, then we have to do our thing. And one year, I think it was pretty significant, we just didn't get really good response. And it's best to make it safe as opposed to standing on, I call them, I hope.
And I think we also get new residents that aren't really sure.
Yeah.
Any resident that I spoke to.
And not everybody has home phones anymore.
So that location you talked about, and now you said you had one, so those two should be honed in to the clerk, and then let Alan know tomorrow, and then I'm gonna ask him to do it right around the village. Okay.
Well, again, I think we need to use constant contact to our advantage and get the residents to get on the village's constant contact. Again, I know I had gotten one email sent to me today from a neighbor of mine, wanting to know if they were picking garbage up today. I said, no, they picked it up yesterday. There's only 6 major holidays. The town puts a calendar out every year. We put it out as well. And again, get on constant contact, and all of that information is there. You don't have to go on Facebook, and then, you put a legit question out there, and you get snide comments back. So if you have constant contact, you'll get all the information, and you'll know when your garbage goes out, when it doesn't. The mayor put the message out, Kim, on Sunday, I believe it was, to not put the garbage pails in the street. And the ones that did put their garbage out, most of them didn't put the pails in the street. So, because the plow's coming down, it may not be the plow that'll hit the garbage pail, but the snow rolling off the plow will hit the garbage pail. So, we got to encourage everybody to get on a constant contact, and you'll get all the information you need right from your own government.
Got it.
That's all I have.
Okay.
I'm good.
You good? Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, I need a motion to close our meeting of January 21st.
Carl will make the motion.
O'Connor, second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye?
Ferraro, I.
Carl,
O'Connor,
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you.
hey, you guys get a chance, you can look, this is what's going on. They're going back to meeting monthly with the sewer meeting.